welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli, that's Bud Elliott, that's Danny Kanell. I'm Chip Patterson, coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 Tailgate, where Joey, before we got started, wanted to ask a question. Whoop. Can we hear what the podcast has on their Christmas list?
A raise? Not too much to ask.
Hear that, Jeff? Yeah, it would. All right. Danny's got a raise. So you will be. There will be an assessment of your naughty and niceness. That definitely will go into your stocking consumption. But what we got on the Christmas list?
Just golf balls, like pretty simple dad asks, you know.
Golf balls are always a good.
You will get balls. You'll get golf balls.
Yeah.
You get anything? You'll get golf balls.
Pro V1s, yellow.
Yeah,
I get. Yeah,
Oh, you must be feeling good about that swing, because I mean, if you don't have a good swing plane, you might as well be hitting rocks with Pro V1s out there.
Well, some of us know what we're doing, Chip.
All right, okay. That it? Anything else?
I get nothing.
Yeah,
I even tell my wife, like, don't waste money. I'll probably return it and get something that I like. So just don't get anything.
My dad's the best gift giver I know. He just gives me like $100 Amazon gift card. It's like, cool, thank you.
Right?
That's great.
Cash is king, or Amazon is king.
Do you know what's on my Christmas list? Something that I ask for I ask a lot of people for stuff, mainly everybody in the tailgate, because all I want for Christmas is for you to come see us live. Okay. January 9th, 2025, Fort Worth, Texas, the Cover 3 Tailgate Live. It is our very first live show. I haven't done my research, but I think we're the first ever podcast to do a live show. And we want you to come to this historic moment. What you can do to be able to be a part of all the fun of the Cover 3 Tailgate Live is to scan that QR code on the screen. If you are listening to this show, there is a link in the episode description on YouTube, in the episode description wherever you get your podcast. The event will be from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. That leads right into the Orange Bowl. It's the day before the Cotton Bowl, which of course will be there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We'll all be there. We're going to give you big game breakdowns of both games. We're going to have a lot of fan interaction, a chance for you to be able to get a little, live big old bag of mail style, some goodies for those of you in attendance as well, special Cover 3 items. I don't know what I can commit to or not, but it's going to be fantastic. So scan that QR code. It is a free event, but you have to RSVP in advance. So you RSVP, it's going to be free. You see Cover 3. There you go. Just like that. And that's all I want for Christmas is for y'all to come hang out with us January 9th in Fort Worth, Texas. All right.
Can we do live customer service on air? One of our mega listeners, Tom, asked, hey, what are the paid tickets for the live event at Tannehill? Do those come with some sort of access or just a reserved seat, or do we know?
I think that this is much, like the Cover 3 podcast that you can get. I think that we are of the people, we're not really setting standards or tiers or exclusive packages yet. But I think that for now, we are something that anybody can, all you need to do is show up and bring good vibes. We'll be excited because we're hanging out for the Orange Bowl too. So, if you don't get your question in live on the show, we're still going to be around. We're going to be there all night, really, even doing our end of Danny, are you gonna make a late night reaction pod?
Is that part of the part of the deal? I'm not on Mountain Time Zone. When I'm in Mountain Time Zone, it's easy.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll
you guys on the pregame show early. You guys probably are
on this
Tomorrow
Saturday.
Or Saturday. If I am, I haven't heard yet.
That doesn't mean you're not.
Yeah, no. I usually don't hear until Saturday morning.
That's right.
So we can. I would say no paid exclusive VIP, but if you want the VIP treatment, just come. We'll be around. As our good friend Deion Sanders says, we're not hard to find.
Danny will be showing feet.
That's right.
All right. Let's before we jump into a little bit of portal, because we did have some quarterback movement. This isn't exactly portal related, but goodness, I am so happy we've got our in-house attorney to be able to break this thing down, because I get stuck at the headline. The headline is, what? Diego Pavia, another year? You know, I see the best general manager in college football, Barton Simmons, jumping on the tweets, letting them know as soon as the ruling comes down and is made official. So the star quarterback who we have enjoyed, though, at New Mexico State and Vanderbilt, he is fired up to get that extra year of eligibility. Now, why is this an issue? His eligibility, you know, the eligibility clock, as they say, was called into question because of how much of it from the junior college ranks ends up impacting that. So, Bud, what's our read and takeaway on this? Because again, I am surface level, which is just like Diego Pavia is awesome. More Diego Pavia in college football, generally a good thing for college football and enjoyable for me. Are there larger implications here?
It's another L for the NCAA in court, which they're pretty good at racking these up. So the gist with the Pavia thing is that Pavia argued that his junior college days should not count because there's no meaningful opportunity to earn NIL in junior college, which if you throw back to the summer when we were just trying to, like, it's a summer show, right? Like we're just spitballing and rambling and stuff. And it's like, at some point, somebody's going to argue that, like, these eligibility restrictions are taking away your ability to earn a living via NIL, right? Which seemed kind of like specious at the time, but now that's kind of what Pavia argued here. He's like, the junior college years should not count. Also, the judge just went like full flamethrower on this idea that any of this is tied to school at all. He said, moreover, the NCAA has recently made changes to its rules that do not appear to support the stated goal of maintaining, quote, natural and standard degree progression, end quote. Recently, the NCAA changed its rules to allow student athletes unlimited transfers between schools. The court finds it highly implausible that frequent transfers, even those within NCAA institutions, benefit an athlete's academic career and promote natural and standard degree progression, end quote. As plaintiffs point out, institutions are not guaranteed to accept transfer credits from another institution, whether it be another NCAA institution or a junior college. The NCAA's reliance on the goal of maintaining standard degree progression when it is convenient and eschew it when it is not leads the court to conclude that the stated goal is a mere pretext to justify applying the eligibility timeframe to junior college athletes, even when it's clear that junior college does not provide an academic or athletic experience equivalent to that of D1. So basically the court's like, yeah, JUCO should not count against your 4 years at a 4-year school. So Diego.
So can you sign a kid, stash him in JUCO, and then be able to then use the 4 years of eligibility after he has been further developed in JUCO?
I would say as of now, yes. Will the NCAA appeal this? Probably.
Has junior college become the new mission? Where now all of a sudden my program can get old and stay old thanks to
Dave Clawson got out the game too quick. He should get that job back.
But, I mean, like, do you have to kind of pay him under the table for 2 years to keep his, like, to keep him committed to you? It's a little dangerous.
That's listen.
No, but you can go shop for him though.
Yeah. So the NCAA,
which they always have, but I think it's. I mean, the JUCO system is not affiliated under NCAA, correct?
Right. It's the
so like, what's the difference in that and going to do a PG year at some prep school? I mean, it's kind of viewed the same now, right? Is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
maybe
like, I do think
like
it's actually maybe it is. I think maybe it is a loophole that you would go scout junior college players now, knowing that you get somebody who's kind of developed, and you might have him for 4 full years if you want to pay him, and he's good.
So JUCO class credits transfer, but not games.
Right.
Like,
but to be fair, my daughters are taking some college credits that will transfer. You know, like, so you can kind of make sense where the thinking comes from.
That's fair.
Who loses?
You know?
Oh, I mean, I think that we are talking about such a small collect. I mean, for all of the exemptions that were made remember when everybody was getting a transfer waiver?
Right.
Like, I think that if we've crossed over into that, I can understand somebody trying to make a slippery slope argument and imagining the flood of this junior college options, but I don't think that's realistic given where we are at and how many players this would actually apply to. That's my guess. I
think ultimately the answer could be, if this opens the floodgates for more challenges to eligibility, then the NCAA could lose again, which it might. And that's where you've got the somebody gets lawyered up and then we end up having more and more 28-year-old quarterbacks. Right. Yeah. Yay. Get a job.
I know, really. Come on, grow up already.
We have fantastic partners with the Cover 3 Live show, the good folks at C3 Presents. They are big fans of the show. They are in the tailgate right now correcting me on the spot. Okay. The platinum option at the Cover 3 Tailgate Live has the best locations of the rodeo box, the tables, and the mezzanine, and the platinum option gets you a gift bag of Cover 3 swag. Yeah. So we are less of the people than I thought. We are leveling up in the world. We do have options where if you want to increase your experience, we will. We will provide you that opportunity. So we're in demand. That's what happens as we're on the way up. So here's a question for you. Yes. What's really stopping Georgia from going out and getting Stetson Bennett and saying, let's run this thing back, guys? Like,
he's in the NFL.
No Carson back. Oh, is he still in the NFL? Okay. Yeah. Well, that actually is stopping. Yeah. But I did not know he was in the NFL. He's still with the Rams, right?
Yeah, he's with the Rams.
Okay. Well, I understand the question.
So this would be one of the reasons why you would, because if they were employees, which they probably will be sooner rather than later, that's when it gets really complicated. And maybe you could go get a former quarterback to come back that was just out.
Correct.
Could you play, Danny? Like college? Like what level of college do you think you can still play today?
I can hardly get out of bed in the morning. Like, it takes me like 6 Advil just to play a round of golf. Like,
you didn't practice that much? Like you just
10 years ago though, like at 40 I could have still done it. I'm getting up there. I'm starting to push the envelope a little bit.
Could you play D2 today? Could you play FCS, you think?
I don't. So you got to be able to move somewhat. Yeah, like some of these offensive lines, maybe you could play behind, but I can't move enough anymore. I'm too old. I'm an old man.
But you still got the arm.
Yeah. Did you not hear me say about my back? Like, I could make a few throws. I could play one game. I could get one game and get it done.
Danny's got 30 handoffs in there.
Yeah. Listen, I think that you could get the offense to the line of scrimmage. I think you could identify the defense. I think you could check into the right play, which is 100% going to be a handoff. And let's do it mostly out of shotgun, so there's less time for a defensive end to get to you.
Yes. I could crush the decision-making process.
Right. Absolutely.
Execution would be the problem.
Maybe even better now at this point?
Oh, yeah. Without question. I'd be way better now.
Yeah. All right. Coming up on the other side, we will hit some of the transfer portal movement of note, including the conclusion of the John Mateer sweepstakes. Colorado kind of loading up its quarterback room for 2025, and our college football playoff best bets. Next. Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. One more little bit of housekeeping here. We are a finalist for the Best American Football Podcast category in the Sports Podcast Awards. We need you to be able to help us win that award. It is a fan vote that determines this. And what you can do is just go and log in. It takes about 30 seconds and give us a vote. So go in the episode description here. Sportspodcastgroup.com is where you find it. Again, we are in the Best American Football Podcast category. We are a finalist. We have been a finalist before, and this time we want to bring it on home. All right, the portal movement has been rocking and rolling, so let's jump in and see where they're landing. as it was suggested here on the Cover 3 podcast, while Oklahoma needed to lock up John Mateer because everybody else was looking around. We were starting to hit that, what I like to call the 1:45 a.m. at the bar type moment. John Mateer was looking prettier and prettier, and people were ready to risk it all for John Mateer. But you know what? Oklahoma called that Uber. They got this thing locked. Yes, yeah, check please. We're gonna get out of here. Now that we've got the fit, Danny, what's your outlook for John Mateer and the Sooners offense as they go? Arbuckle is your new offensive coordinator. You've got that connection right there. How do you think this is going to help that Sooners offense in 25?
I mean, I would think it would bring more production. I mean, you would hope so. He's really athletic. I think that's I think people may not know if you just go look at the passing numbers. He can throw it. He feels very comfortable in that system. I think he's a playmaker. There's a reason he's the top quarterback in our 24/7 portal rankings. But I think also the familiarity with the system. Look at the slow starts from Dylan Gabriel, from Riley Leonard. Some of the transfer quarterbacks do start slow because they're learning new systems, new terminology, new concepts. He won't have to do that. So I think that's a huge bump. And I'm kind of excited to see what he can do with better talent around him. Because I think that's what Oklahoma's going to give him.
With that,
but he's going to be playing against better competition too. So that's a big step up as well.
Yeah, I think you'd argue that he'll have better talent around him, but they might have a talent disadvantage relative to the schedule compared to what he had at Wazoo.
For sure.
I think the legs are huge because unless you think Oklahoma's going to totally fix its offensive line in one offseason, and it wasn't entirely Oklahoma's fault that they had a bad O-line this year. I mean, part of it was legitimate injuries, but also we talked about this in the offseason. There were other schools out there who were like, really? Like they're taking the Spencer Brown kid from Michigan State? Like that's a weird choice when you're Oklahoma. Like we like a lot of guys better than him. And it turns out like he can't play. So part of it was on them, and they misavowed some kids, and we first guessed it on the show, but I mean we first guessed stuff and we're wrong all the time too. So nobody's perfect. I think his legs are really going to help Oklahoma quite a bit here. He can run around a lot, and bringing Arbuckle with him, I think is huge. So good move. What does Miami do now? I don't know. I think if you're Baylor, you're like extremely happy that you held on to Sawyer Robertson and Spavital, because that he would have been the best quarterback in the portal, I think, full stop, had he gone in.
I think it's a good get for him. I'd like to see what that offensive line looks like next year, because this year's offensive line sucked. All the receivers were injured. It's like, as long as they have an average offensive line and actual bodies at receiver, he's stepping into a much better situation than either Arnold or Hawkins had to deal with this year. So I do think he's a good player. So I don't know if he's a huge talent upgrade, but I think he's going to be in a much better system and a much better situation than he had the guys there this year were.
And Hawkins is still around.
Mm-hmm.
Got to think.
Good. I mean, I like competition. I don't like guys like everybody exits. I like competition. I think it's good.
I'm thinking style and scheme. I mean, does that seem to you? I mean, all right. So this past season, Mateer had 826 rushing yards, led the team in rushing, 15 rushing touchdowns. Part of me is like, you could make plays against defenders in open space and outrun guys on Washington State's schedule that you're not going to be able to do in the SEC. There is some of his playmaking ability that I think is going to be neutralized with a step up in competition. But I want to acknowledge that he can also improve too and find ways to be able to more pick and choose his spots rather than just kind of run wild. Because it did seem sometimes like he was the best player on the field in a Washington State football game when they were playing against the lesser competition on their opponents. And I just know that ain't going to happen next year with Oklahoma's schedule.
How shocked would you be if Hawkins beats him out?
I wouldn't be that shocked at all.
And I think that speaks not to maybe Hawkins' ability, although certainly some, because we know they liked him a lot, but also just I'm not seeing like amazing quarterbacks in the portal so far this year. If Ewers jumps in, if Milroe jumps in, I think those are difference makers type guys, potentially.
I mean, my feelings on this, like, I think John Mateer is a good quarterback. Like, I was really enjoying watching him play last year. It's just like, my thing has always been like, once a player enters the portal, he suddenly becomes much better than he actually is in the eyes of fans. And it's like, all right, this guy's gone from a 3-star to a 5-star player. But it's when you look back at like and I was tweeting about this yesterday, like for the most part, all these teams that had the highest ranked transfer classes last year had the same exact seasons this year, because more than anything, you're just replacing what you already had. You're not really upgrading. So I don't know if Mateer's a huge upgrade over the guys they had. I just think the situation should be better. It's the same thing as I look at with Ohio State last year with Will Howard and Kyle McCord. I didn't think it was a huge upgrade talent-wise. I just think he was stepping into a better spot.
Also, Hawkins probably we'll see what happens in the spring, but we still have the spring portal window, where things could shake up again in terms of I mean, that's what Drink was saying. Like Eli Drinkwitz is telling everybody, it's like 6 months. We're basically out here, signing everybody to 6-month deals, and then you got to go redo it again. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But John Mateer, again, much coveted quarterback, that he ends up landing with Oklahoma. Also, so saw a comment in the tailgate. I feel like we have circled back on how our conversation and our expectations for Colorado's future, especially as it pertains to Deion Sanders and what it's going to be after Shedeur leaves. We see Juju Lewis, blue chip quarterback, ends up committing to Colorado in the early signing period. Well, now we've got former Liberty quarterback Caden Salter commits to Colorado, and I'm looking at this, and we've got some. We could talk about style and scheme and, Pat Shurmur and how it fits and what it's going to look like moving forward. But I mean, Tom, I kind of feel like between Caden Salter, Juju Lewis, I mean, you are solidifying the next couple seasons potentially for Colorado's offense there under Deion Sanders.
I think Colorado better be prepared for a downgraded quarterback
from Shedeur to Caden Salter.
Yeah.
Or anybody.
Or anybody. I mean, Julian Lewis is the future. You hope he can pan out and maybe he hits the ground running and has a fantastic season last year. But I know, like, when people hear Caden Salter's name, they're probably thinking of the Liberty from 2023. If you watched Liberty in 2024, Caden Salter was not the same player, particularly down the stretch. He just kind of fell apart. He did not have a very good season. If I'm Colorado and I'm relying on Salter as my quarterback next season, and I've lost Travis Hunter and I've lost Shedeur, I hope I've really upgraded at other places on the roster.
Circling back to the eligibility thing real quick, I think it was during the Talia Tagovailoa conversation of whether he could get another year or he had to declare. So we'll look for that after the show. How does the offense change?
We're going to look up when I was right. Dak, I know I was right.
We're hunting for that clip.
We got to search.
You guys
at the time, it was so crazy on Twitter, and now it ain't so crazy.
Like finding a needle in a haystack.
Bro, seriously.
Mikey, stop producing the show and go find the damn clip.
Oh, man. How does the offense change? Because Salter's not like a major drop back guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm. And Pat Shurmur, remember the reason they brought him in and fired what's his name last year was to go more NFL style, more pro style. And Shedeur does not run it very much. He is picking you apart from the pocket, which is not Caden Salter's strong suit. Or I wouldn't expect a true freshman to be that guy either.
And what about the rest of the wide receiver group? I haven't done like a full, let's look at the future, but part of the Colorado offense has obviously worked because it's Shedeur, but because you've got multiple players that really stress defenses vertically down the field. And that has made it like a really fun Big 12 title contending type offense. So Caden Salter, I don't imagine him as like super elite downfield passer. So I'm curious to see how that changes too.
I think that you're going to see, because we're seeing more of them now, like these transfer, NFL business model kind of builds with the rosters where you're reloading complete teams every single year. These are going to be really volatile teams, man. And we saw it with Florida State this year. It went from 12-0 to 2-10. Colorado went from 4-8 to 9-3. You could see an up and down nature. That we could see the same thing at North Carolina. A lot of the teams that are really, really relying on the portal, you have to hit a lot of targets, and if you don't, it can get ugly.
It's going to be. I mean, it's still morphing into the NFL, but we see a worst to first almost every year in the NFL, and a lot of times we see a first to worst.
Mm-hmm.
We see it work both ways.
Any other portal movement before we jump into our college football playoff first round edition of
Is
Blocks?
this official? I guess Malik Murphy to Oregon State. That would pair very well with the intel that we had heard that Duke was like very much like pay cut for Murphy and didn't think he was good. Like you fall from a 9-win ACC team to Oregon State. That's rough.
From setting the program record for passing touchdowns in a season.
Yeah.
Which I guess speaks to Duke quarterback play over time that it was.
I think they upgraded significantly with Mensah, and I don't think Mensah is like amazing, but
yeah, that happened way too quickly.
Another big move to show you how much of a big time program Illinois is. The only quarterback to beat Notre Dame this season is now going to Illinois to be a backup, Ethan Hampton. He's like, yeah, I could throw for over 10 yards per attempt against these Fighting Irish guys, but I want to go for a real challenge and play in the Big Ten.
Wait, what was his stat line against Notre Dame?
He threw for 198 yards,
yep,
10.4 per attempt and a touchdown. And he also rushed for 21 yards. So just completely tore that little defense apart.
Notre Dame also did a great job of beating Notre Dame that day.
Nah, it was all Ethan Hampton.
Did we talk Billy Edwards?
Just
Billy Edwards to Wisconsin?
I think that's really good for them.
I like it. I mean, I was talking to a friend who's a Wisconsin fan. I kind of call him just like Big Ten John Mateer. Like they're very similar as far as style of play. So it's like he's not an elite player, but I think that for what they're trying to do, he's a better fit.
Florida got I guess J. Michael Sturdivant and Dallas Wilson. So Wilson asked to be released from his NIL deal or his deal with Oregon, and he's going to stay in State Florida. That's a big one for the Gators.
That was a big story on National
sure.
Signing Day,
right?
That he had ended up going to Oregon. How about that? That's
Sturdivant is weird. Like he was hyped repeatedly at Cal and UCLA. He has a ton of top end speed, but also like the yards per route run,
inefficient.
Really, really poor. So it's kind of like triggering as an FSU guy. Would like to see like, oh, super fast, like yards per route run, terrible. Oh, Malik Benson sucks.
Just have him run clear outs and throw to the other guys. That's pretty much going to be the plan.
But every staff thinks they can fix a guy, and like that's just the nature of coaching. Though they see the tools, can they get something out of it? We'll see. I think Wilson's a great get.
Yeah, the Deshaun Foster told us on the desk that he loves J. Michael Sturdivant, but. Now he's gone. All right. Coming up on the other side, we take a look at our best bets, our locks for the first round of the college football playoff and more. Next.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
Sure. What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
Like we do every year, we are wiping the slate clean. Brand new competition, the NBA Cup of the Locks podcast.
NBA Cup?
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah,
the NBA Cup?
Hey, listen, if LeBron and Giannis care about it, it matters.
Hey, it matters the most to me right now. This is the most important pick. See, this is lock season right now. This is where the championships are won right here.
I would like to point out that if you combine the locks and the sprinkles, I was only down 0.61 units this season.
Oh, that's BS because I won the sprinkles the first year, and you guys wouldn't give me any credit for that.
Saying, no, I am the sprinkle king. I'm just saying, if you combine the two, my record not nearly as bad as it looks.
Our goal is to give you these winners. So I say, gentlemen, y'all ready to lock it up?
Yes, sir.
Since 2005, the under in games between service academies is 40-8.
9-1.
We're picking locks.
Give me an over in this one as well. A little 2-for-1 special.
Get these locks.
I was a sicko last week. Y'all were watching the good games. I was live betting the hell out of UL in Kentucky.
My Blue Plate special 5-star locks are coming.
5-star master lock. Lock it up. You want these locks.
I'm living and dying every point, every cover.
From the locking chair to your eyes and ears, we begin on Friday night in South Bend with an in-state battle between Indiana and Notre Dame. A reminder, we'll be live at youtube.com/cover3 at the conclusion of the game with a recap of the game and a look ahead as the winner will advance to go play Georgia in the Sugar Bowl quarterfinal on New Year's Day. So Indiana, Notre Dame still sitting on what, like 7.5, 51.5, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
Might have some team totals, might have some first quarters, might have some fourth quarters. Who wants to jump in this? Who's got a lock?
I'll break the seal. Give me Notre Dame -7. I don't think Indiana can score enough. I just don't trust their offense based on what I saw against them against Ohio State and Michigan to be able to put together the kind of drives that they will need to sustain to keep up. And I think their defense will be fine for the most part, but I don't think they can completely stop the Irish from getting points on the board. So even if they hold them to like 27, I don't know if Indiana can get 20. So Notre Dame -7.
I'm going to go over 51.5. Yeah. I'll take over 51.5. I think both these teams can score a little bit on the other. Not loud enough. My mic messed up.
No, you're good.
The chat was saying, but it was not loud enough. No, I think over here actually is probably my best look in the game. I made it 7.53, so like not a lot. Obviously, like for lock purposes, like I don't think 1.5 point is a great edge here, but obviously that's the number I made it. So I'll be going with over.
Danny?
Let's fight them both. Why not?
Wow.
Let's start it off. Fight. I mean, so I can get 7.5, right?
Yes.
With Indiana. This is one of my upsets anyway for the whole game to figure out Indiana is winning since I am a Notre Dame hater. I think Riley Leonard is too one-dimensional. We did that on the Big Game breakdown. I think if Indiana, that's the big if, I think if they can take that run game away, I think that really plays to their favor. The reason I'm on the under as well, because I don't think Notre Dame's going to be able to do too much offensively. I don't think Indiana is as well against Notre Dame's defense. I think it's a lower scoring game. That's why I like the under as well.
I've got two plays on this game.
I bet I know what one of them is.
The first is so my initial approach, Bud, I was with you. I'm definitely like more on that. I'm going through this. We're asked to pick every single bowl game and every single playoff game like 2 days after. And my first thoughts were like, I look at these two offenses. I think they both are going to be able to move the football. But as I've sort of advanced and as we've gotten to hear a little bit more from Al Golden, from sort of the defensive availability, and I'm trying to entertain all the different outcomes, the one part that I'm feeling more confident in him is Notre Dame scoring. So my first lock on this game is going to be Notre Dame team total over 30.5. Kind of a big number. I understand, but still we are under 31 right there. And the way that the Fighting Irish have taken care of business, if they do get up, I don't think that they're going to sit on it. I think they're going to continue to roll. And because if I go down, I'm going out on my sword. And if I get another opportunity to take it, I'm not leaving it on the table because I don't like leaving opportunities on the table. So I will also add to my card Indiana in the fourth quarter plus 1.5. We're even 7-6 with like a failed 2-point try, right? Like, there are those outcomes as well that would get me home. So Indiana in the fourth quarter plus 1.5 and Notre Dame at team total over 30.5 for my two locks for Friday night's game, which honestly might be one of the best games potentially.
Like super fired up for this.
Yeah. Like this is one that's going to be great along the way. Before we pivot into Saturday,
I can't take Riley Leonard prop under 181 passing yards. I can't do that.
Oh,
Do we?
All right, so here's the deal. So before I started this, because
there we go. It's already brought up in the chat.
Yeah. This was during the.
You got to give them what they want.
I know during the 10 a.m. hour conversation, there was, can we get player props sprinkled in if there is time? And I do think there is time, and I do think that we should throw in some player props. I don't know if we should count them for the
Why not?
competition.
This is the new season.
Because the juice on player props is very different from the juice on spreads and totals usually.
And they're not available everywhere, right?
We'll move.
Share it, but we're not going to count it in the standard.
Right. Yeah.
Let's share it.
We'll do a prop corner. Kanell's corner props. And
under Riley Leonard, 181.5 passing yards at minus 114. That juice seems pretty legit to me. We don't have to if you guys don't want to.
I'll fight.
It's lame.
Oh, you'll fight it?
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, let's do it.
Over.
Fight.
Is it 181 and a half?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, let's fight.
How quickly our standards will move and change. Okay, so that is the one-dimensional sort of angle on this one.
Yes. The weather too is going to make it a little bit tricky for both these teams. If I was going to do, I'd probably take Curtis Works as well, but I do like. I think Riley Leonard's a little too one-dimensional.
Oh man, no, I'm looking for a prop. Not in this game, but I know which one I'm going to take.
Player prop lock fights. I mean, we are nothing if not boundary breakers and trendsetters.
See, we want to be at the forefront. We don't want to be at the rear like when everybody else is doing these. And in 2 years, we're like, yeah, let's count them.
Yeah. You know what? It's as long as they are within somewhat fair juice, that's pretty good right there. All right, pivoting on to Saturday, our noon Eastern time game from Beaver Stadium, Happy Valley. White out. Penn State playing host to SMU. Looking on FanDuel Sportsbook where you can make every moment more. I see Penn State minus 8.5. Our total around 53.5. Can I jump out the gate with it?
Please go for it.
All right, Penn State. I'll lay the 8.5. I've been a little too cocky in some of my presentation and predictions of this game throughout the week, where I've talked about alt lines, but in reality, the only thing that I feel confident in is that this is the game where I could see it being not as I could see Penn State being able to control this thing wire to wire. There is obviously from the ACC championship game an example of SMU showing great resilience, overcoming early turnovers, overcoming just a horrific start and being able to battle its way back into that game. I'm not discounting SMU with this play, but I think that the setting there at home, I think that the makeup of this Penn State team, which is just a little bit bigger, better, stronger than most of the teams that SMU played on its very, very successful season, I just think that it's going to be tough for SMU to look as good as it looked at its best. I mean, shoot, what's SMU's like best game? What game did you look at SMU, watch them play, and be like, wow, like they're for real?
Louisville.
I was going to say Louisville or Pitt. Those are the two ones, and I just think this is such a step up in body size and talent. Like it's just a different caliber, I think. So I'm going to take Penn State. I'll lay the 8.5.
I have Penn State first half minus 4.5.
Ooh.
I think that when you look at the weather, the cold weather will have its greatest impact on SMU early in the game because they're just not used to it. It could take them a little bit to adjust. So I think that Penn State will have an advantage early, especially with the crowd will be super hyped. It'll be cold. We'll see how things go. And I think as the game goes along, as long as SMU is not getting blown out, they might perform better in the second half. And we also saw last week against Clemson what happened to them early. They got completely blitzed early in the game. I'm also taking the over on this game, which is, where's it at now?
53?
Yeah.
53.5 at FanDuel. Yeah,
Yep.
53.5.
Over 53.5. And then I am taking a player prop.
Let's go.
I am taking Tyler Warren over 70.5 yards.
I mean, that's great. That's Tyler Warren. Anything over in a game like this is your. I mean, I guess since I referenced the NBA Cup earlier, that's like your Giannis points, assists, and rebounds in a playoff game type thing. Like I don't know. You're gonna feed him as much as possible. So I like that. Who else got something on this game?
I mean, I'm fairly close in it. Go ahead, Danny. Sorry.
I am in lock agreement with both Chip and Tom on the game and the total.
All right.
Lay them with Penn State. I think this could be this can be a challenge for SMU. The cold, I do wonder how much it impacts them. Team from Texas traveling up there. I think it just kind of slows down Kevin Jennings somewhat too. I mean, it's hard. Like, it's just going to make things more challenging. I think they become a little bit too one-dimensional. I don't know if they're going to be able to run the football. He's not that much of a runner either. Like, he's elusive, and he's really tough to defend. I love his game, but I think this is a game where you might have to run for a lot of yardage to get much movement. I don't know if he's going to do that. But I do think this is one where in the second half, Rhett Lashley may figure some things out. They're still chucking it around, and I think Penn State's going to score as well. That's why I like the over in this one. And I will take a prop as well. Over under 2,000 empty seats. You think there'll be empty seats?
No.
At the Penn State game?
There better not be.
No.
There better not be. I'll go over the rushing total for Nicholas Singleton at 60.5.
That is, I am
too low. Like, it's almost too easy, right?
No. I think that when we're talking about running back rushing props, and you've got those like versatile, it's not even a true committee because they do different things along the way, but I just am always worried about who's going to end up getting those big yards and who's going to end up breaking it loose when you've got even, Tyler Warren as a part of the run game, Drew Aller as a part of the run game. I guess that you've got a handicap that you don't have any Bo Prabula yards, so they got to go somewhere. But I like the if you think they're going to have the lead, taking one of the running backs to go over their rushing total definitely checks out from the game script.
Further, for Danny's point and my prop too, you know what really sucks to do in cold weather?
Tackle.
Yeah.
So Tyler Warren's 265 pounds. Nick Singleton's 225 pounds.
And like rocked up too.
Mm-hmm.
Singleton is just a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Bud, what you got?
I'm over here as well.
Over. Let's go. Wait, hold on. That's 3 for that. So y'all get a.
Love it.
So basically the same reasons you guys already gave, but I do think that pace here will be dictated by a little more by SMU. Like they've got to try to go fast. They don't want to play a super slow game here against Penn State. I think if SMU gets out early to a lead, it also plays the over here. So I sorry, laughing at the chat said criticizing Chip for saying rocked up. Anyway, I think there's a pretty good chance that we get here because of pace. What I don't know, like Franklin does like to run it up at the end, but I think in a playoff game with the mind towards next week, probably not there. Right? Like he's not going to try to punch an extra score in, especially without Prabula, right? You're not going to leave Aller in to do that.
I was sorry. I wasn't trying to interrupt that. I was going back to the Big Ten title game where Penn State, looking for a little bit of a spark, did play. They were getting to the line of scrimmage quickly. They weren't always snapping it quickly, but they were looking for something.
It was they were. Yeah, that was interesting.
It was interesting. They were looking for something.
Yeah.
What an advantage, Penn State.
I still like over.
Okay. All right. Then we move to the midday. It is the Clemson Tigers. It is the Texas Longhorns, Darrell K. Royal Stadium in Austin. The Longhorns favored by 11.5 at FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can make every moment more. Over under of 51.5.
Give me Clemson.
Yeah. Okay. Danny?
Let children sing.
Oh, and Tom?
Let him sing.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Have we even hit this one in a while? Because I'm on it too. So that means when two people agree, but those have never been around before, that's when we let the children sing. It's a lock agreement. When three people agree, we welcome in Queen Latifah because that is UNITY, a lock unity. And then when three agree, when three agree, it is a lock infinity.
The world is about to feel something that they never felt before.
To infinity and beyond.
Let y'all know.
Let's go. All right. Well, there you go, Texas.
What's our record on lock infinities this year? Do we have that? Do we have many?
No, this is the first.
For the whole season.
15 weeks when we finally get there. Let's go.
Wow.
And it's with freaking Clemson.
Exactly. Man.
Wait, and it's with Clemson 24 hours after we said in Big Game Breakdown, this might be 31-3 Texas.
It might be. Just don't think it will be.
I don't think it will be either. All right. That's quite a way to set the tone. So what if we were to play if we were to play contrarian for ourselves, what would the argument be?
Texas defense suffocates Clemson, just overwhelms them, kind of like Georgia did in the second half and South Carolina did most of the game. I thought Clemson got conservative in the second half against South Carolina.
Oh, in the second half of South Carolina.
Yes. Yeah. They got overwhelmed in the second half of Georgia.
Right.
They couldn't do anything.
That it was Clemson has sometimes just tried to play for the fourth quarter way before the fourth quarter. And that's, I don't think that'll be the case here. I could see it being lower scoring. Is anybody going to touch the total?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are?
Give me the under.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's, to me, if you are taking Clemson, you are imagining a game where Texas's offense has its usual red zone issues and they're not able to punch it in for scores. You got to think that Big Game Dabo just likes to see a close margin on the board. Just keep trying to pin them as much as possible. Yeah. What about
the other aspect too that would scare me if Quinn Ewers shows his best version? And he's stepped up at some times. He's stepped up big. We haven't seen it in a while, but there have been his moments. Like if he gets a little extra rest from not playing this past weekend, like is he fully healthy? But I got to see it before I bet it.
I'll throw on a Clemson-Texas first half under 26.5.
Could see it. Has anybody I've been hunting like Arch Manning multiple touchdowns.
I haven't found it.
Yeah.
What about Arch Manning anytime?
See, I think that's priced in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I think the multiple could apply a couple things. Like maybe they just go to him in the red zone a lot, or they go to him way early in the game. I think the Arch Manning anytime is kind of priced as like they know he's probably going to play some.
Yeah. What about? Never mind. This is all right. So we are not going to do player props in terms of like the
anytime touchdowns,
the sprinkle or first.
Yeah.
Like Gunnar Helm first touchdown plus 700. We're not playing that game.
No.
Okay.
All right, fine.
Though I don't.
I can't do what I can do. I have two. Cade Klubnik over 217.5 passing yards. Also over 25.5 rush yards for Cade Klubnik.
That's low.
Yeah, but
sacks could but he's pretty elusive. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but that Texas defense is nasty.
They are.
You could, and Cade, this is the thing that you'd be nervous about for a Cade Klubnik rushing total is that he's there and then he has 18 yards lost on one play,
Yeah.
Spins out, tries to curl around, then ends up getting yanked down.
I ain't scared.
I am.
Although his only game with negative rushing yards was against Georgia, where he had negative 17 to finish the game. It's his comfort spot. It's his comfort zone. It's going back home.
This, I think. So everybody's talked about the high school matchup between Quinn Ewers and Cade Klubnik. We're bringing that back. I want to say that the Texas high school playoffs are also going on at this exact time. So we're a lot of Texas energy around here. No, hard to tell on the thermometer which way the vibes will break for whether for Ewers or Klubnik. But there's a lot going on.
If you hate
Austin, Texas,
if you hate like Riley and Tebow were roommate talk nonstop on a broadcast, this is probably the broadcast you're gonna hate the most.
I'll send a message to Dusty. I'll tell him to back off.
Dusty's got it.
Dusty's doing it.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell him to make sure it doesn't go too over the top.
No, I say lean in.
Does Dusty played at OU? He lives in Oklahoma, but like
He's really neutral. I mean, he's a pro. He doesn't.
Did he grow up in Oklahoma or did he grow up in Texas?
No, he grew up in Dallas.
Okay, so he's getting
like Penn, yeah. So he grew up in Dallas. He grew up in Texas.
Actually, tell him to go heavy on it. Now let's set a line. Let's set a goal for Dusty on the high school. If we could get some subtle cover 3 game, like cover 3 game going, like a bingo card on this for.
I probably need to get to the sideline reporter, Taylor. I'll get to her. I'll tell her because that's a total sideline reporter. Like, hey, like go down for the hits. Let's get more on that.
Yeah. And I talked to their high school coaches who said,
we should make a bingo card like for the put the bingo card in the chat. We'll see if we can spin one up.
So Dusty may get mad at me because he might want to share this on the broadcast, but I'll give it to you guys in our small little group here. He said they did their coach's call with Dabo yesterday, and he asked him about Matthew McConaughey because remember Dabo's like, I'm going to get to meet him, and he asked him if he was going to go up to him and say hello, and he said no. He said he's kind of hoping that Matthew comes up to him.
Yes. I'll tell you what, he's not very tall, but he understands like alpha dynamics.
Right. I don't think McConaughey's going up to him.
No.
So Dabo's approach to McConaughey is basically exactly the same approach that he had to the portal for the last couple of years. Right?
Well, and McConaughey gets he gets a little bit superstitious about Texas football games.
Yeah.
And so, he might not want to mess with that juju right there.
Jeans, white shirt, leather jacket, cowboy hat, right?
The jacket, I think, has a name. I think the jacket's name is Rusty.
Rusty Shackleford.
And I think he had it in 2005 for the championship.
Sounds right.
Yeah, that was my option for viewing the SEC championship game because I was traveling. Was watching on my phone and I wasn't able to get the ABC feed. I was only able to get the Field Pass feed. So I watched the SEC championship game with like Cole Kublik, Ryan McGee, Marty Smith. Like it was the full experience with lots of guests, among which included Matthew McConaughey.
Does it smell like weed?
The jacket?
Yeah.
I don't know. Does leather hold?
I mean, I think if you smoke enough in it.
I think it probably has a strong aroma of everything in there. He might be on one of those kicks that doesn't shower,
Harry Douglas was on that call as well. Harry, it was a fun crew, it was a bunch of our friends there. All right. Anything else on Clemson, Texas? All right. Then we pivot to the night slate. The game that is going to have, as I said earlier, like the most amount of like interest and pressure and emotion. And I have so many different ways to think the actual football will be played. Like if this game was played in a vacuum, just like line them up and go play on an indoor facility somewhere, it would be a very different football game than the one that we are expecting to take place in frigid temperature, wintry conditions at night in a horseshoe. Or the last time that the world famous Ohio State Buckeyes took the field, they repeatedly ran into a closed door without opening the doorknob. So what's changed? What do we expect when the Ohio State Buckeyes welcome the Tennessee Volunteers on Saturday night?
I don't think there's pressure for them to out physical Tennessee. like in their heads mentally, they're, oh, we got to out physical Michigan. Like, that's not really, I'm not saying you have to be soft. Like, that's not truly your game. You do have guys named Buka and Smith on the outside who are pretty good players. So maybe the game plan on offense will be a little bit just more suited to what they can do, not what they want to do, I guess.
Listen, man, if I was an Ohio State fan, I'd be hoping that Bud's in the coach's room saying those exact same things.
I don't have a play on this. I made it 7-46 like 2 weeks ago. I don't really see any reason to come off that number, so I'm like literally, I'm on it.
I have plays.
All right,
I'm taking the under 46.5. Because I do think this will be kind of rock fighty. And then I'm also going to take the Ohio State third quarter minus 1.5. All right. And then I am taking, hold on, I got to finish typing that. And then I am taking Nico under 180.5 yards passing.
Oh, you've turned on him.
Just don't, I mean, love him, love his future. Haven't seen it this year. Don't think this is going to be the best environment for him. I don't think that offensive line is as good at pass blocking as it is at run blocking. And I think that Ohio State secondary is pretty good, and I don't trust his receivers much either. So I think it's just all kind of a correlated parlay there. Same game. Take the boost.
So, first of all, obviously we are, we've got principles, we've got systems. If the well still has water, we go back to the well. Give me a lock agreement on Ohio State in the third quarter. Then I am also going to target the Tennessee team total here, which is either 18.5 or 19.5. I am on FanDuel Sportsbook. We can make every moment more, 19.5. So I'll go Tennessee team total over 19.5. I think that there is a way to continue some of the progress that Nico had in those last couple games of the season. I think that there are a lot of opportunities where maybe even Tennessee's defense creates a short field for Tennessee to get some easier scores. You know, Will Howard, when he is under immense pressure against a good defensive front, is got a lot more whoopsie daisy to him than he does when he is playing against Purdue or Michigan State, or, you know, the teams that the Buckeyes were just able to absolutely overwhelm this year. And so I also, you know, like that little spunk from just imagining what Josh Heupel's been cooking up with all that time to self-scout, with all that time to do a little game breakdown. Just doesn't mean they're going to hit it, because good gravy, there have been a lot of perfect plays that Nico's missed on, or a Tennessee wide receiver drops a pass. I mean, they have schemed up explosives that did not come home. But if they get them, then it shouldn't be too hard to be able to hit 20, 21, 24, 27 points. Yeah, give me Tennessee team total over 19.5.
I am locking up the under with Tom. I'm going to lay him with Ohio State. And then I've got Dante Thornton Jr. over 34.5 receiving yards.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
There's got to be a play in there. I think all he needs is 2 catches to get that. They're going to load up. Like, Nico may be bad. All I need is 2 catches. That's it.
That is kind of
34.5.
What's that? 34.5. He just had he's eclipsed that. He didn't play much against UTEP or whatever their second to last game was, but he's easily gone over this one. Breakout game against Vanderbilt.
I thought you were about to just hit a full like McKenzie script there. He's over this number in 3 of the last 4. He's
What happened to our girl McKenzie? Where's her play?
Yeah.
You're the one responsible for bringing her.
Oh, it's on me. It's on me.
Yeah, you're the McKenzie whisperer.
You're the valet.
Have they really not had an 8 o'clock kickoff in Ohio State in a long time?
Nope.
Oh, they haven't. Would they have 8 noon kickoffs this year?
Yeah, and they never have them at night this time of year because, like, for years the Big Ten did not play night games in November, but now with the new TV deal, they've had to. But Michigan and Ohio State have both said nope.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm not privy to the details of these contracts. I'm not in those meetings, but I have heard that Ohio State and Michigan made it clear that once the calendar flips to November, we don't play home games at night.
And so, just to be clear, Ohio State wants to play home games, but not only at certain times a year. So it's like they want their cake and they want to eat it too.
What's the split? What do you think the split will be? Like 90-10? Or do you think it's like 70-30?
Oh, I think it'll be 70-30.
So you do think Tennessee has snatched up a lot of these tickets and there is going to be a Tennessee takeover.
Not a takeover, but I think that there'll be plenty of fans.
And it's one of those
30 is a significant amount in a home field, like
in
a home stadium. That's basically what Georgia did, right? When there was probably 70-30 when they took the whole end zone in Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I base this on the fact that, like, your AD is pretty much out there begging you not to sell these tickets, which leads me to believe people have already started selling the tickets. And he's out. It's just like I don't think the crowd morale is very high right now. Like, going back to Gladiator days, I don't think that, the crowd would be wanting this Gladiator to live a little much longer.
Yeah, Bud, why'd you ask?
No, I didn't ask. Danny did.
Oh, I was just curious because it's been very much part of the conversation. Yeah. On the Ticketmaster, StubHub sites, you can get 50-yard line tickets for like $250, which seems very, very reasonable. You can get upper deck for $120 or $110 or something like that. Like, that's not a bad get-in price, and there's a lot available.
All right, I gotta have some kind of action on this game. Give me Nico over his yards, 181.
Okay, so a little fight. All right, let's go.
Fight.
All right.
I think there's some multiple ways we can get to this, obviously. Like, one explosive plus a fairly normal game gets you there. If Ohio State really commits to stop the run, I think that gets you there. Or if they just play a bunch of soft covers, then we lose.
One last thing on the crowd note. It does not represent the sound that is going to be made, but orange will pop in that. You're going to look up and you're going to see it. There's not going to be any mistake. The Tennessee fans that are in the building, when you're on the field, when you're on the sidelines, you'll hear them, sure, but I think you'll see it as well. It'll make for a very interesting visual if it is to be believed that there is. I mean, somebody went in and changed. You know how you can like play little pranks on Google Maps?
Oh yeah, they named it Neyland North, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. We'll see. So
somebody said that they leaked the pre-order code.
Yeah, that happened too.
Tennessee fans got it.
Listen, guys, when you're dealing with Tennessee fans, Texas A&M fans,
Arkansas fans,
yeah, I mean, there's a certain level of sophistication that you might not realize in terms of them being able to activate online and get stuff done.
Should have never gave them hillbillies internet.
All right. Well, speaking of the potential takeover, this Moneyline Sprinkles segment is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. So as we are looking at the college football playoff first round, maybe chalk is going to hold, but if not, let's make sure we sprinkle the underdog winners. Tom, what are you going to drop for your Moneyline Sprinkles?
First of all, is this a new competition or are we just keeping it in the sprinkles? Because I was not aware. So we have to decide right now. We starting a new one?
It's all new.
All right. So now I got to start a new doc. Thanks, guys.
It's 4 games. Do you want me to write them down and then text you?
Yeah.
You don't understand what it's like on this side of the doc. Okay,
Pressure.
Mr. Host, Mr. I just got to talk a lot. I have to type and talk. You try it sometime. Give me. Do I have to pick one?
No.
I don't have any.
Oh, okay. I've got 2. So I will take Clemson plus 365. And I will also take Tennessee plus 215. We can get better numbers on either one of those, but those are my upsets in our upset bracket that we have extensively detailed on multiple platforms. You know, that multi-platform excellence.
I get you like Tennessee plus 245.
Yeah, let's take it. Tennessee plus 245, and then again
Clemson 375.
And Clemson plus 375. Yeah, those are going to be my sprinkles.
I'm with you there on Tennessee.
All right.
I just think like the variance of what if you get a really good Nico game plus that D line, I think it's possible.
Danny, any sprinkles?
Give me Indiana. Give me the Hoosiers.
All right.
Plus 245.
I got 255.
And I picked Clemson in my bracket, but I don't think I'm going to take the sprinkle.
That's fine.
Let's keep the one.
Yep. Because then guess what? Then we'll get to re-rack it with the new bracket. Yeah. And then we'll get to detail that and break it down the rest of the way. Lots of chances to do it. All right. And that Moneyline Sprinkle segment was brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Let's review the locks that we've got for the first round of the college football playoff. Bud is on. Clemson plus 12, Penn State SMU over 53.5, Indiana-Notre Dame over 51.5, Riley Leonard over 181.5 passing yards, Nico Iamaleava over 180.5 passing yards. I've got Clemson plus 12, Notre Dame team total over 30.5, Indiana fourth quarter plus 1.5, the Clemson-Texas first half under 26.5, Tennessee team total over 19.5, Penn State minus 8.5, Ohio State third quarter minus 1.5. Danny's on. Clemson plus 12, Penn State SMU over 53.5, Indiana Notre Dame under 52.5, Riley Leonard under 181.5 passing yards, Indiana plus 7.5, Penn State minus 8.5, Nick Singleton over 60.5 rushing yards, Ohio State Tennessee under 46.5, Cade Klubnik over 217.5 passing yards, Cade Klubnik over 25.5 rushing yards. And Tom's locked in on Clemson plus 12, Penn State SMU over 53.5, Penn State first half minus 4.5, Tyler Warren over 70.5, Notre Dame minus 7, Nico Iamaleava under 180.5 passing yards, Ohio State third quarter minus 1.5, and Ohio State Tennessee under 46.5. See, that's like good stuff right there. Okay, so maybe if there is I don't know if you guys knew this, but we do have the New Orleans Bowl is coming up tonight.
It's time for Sicko Mode.
So New Orleans Bowl Thursday, Cure Bowl Friday, Gasparilla Bowl also on Friday. Any general thoughts or leans for the people in any of those games?
I do like Georgia Southern just slightly because so many players on Sam Houston are in the portal. Their coach is gone, and I think Southern's a little closer to full strength, but I'm not overly heavy on any of this stuff.
So what you're saying is alt line Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That'll work.
I kind of like the Gators. 20 against Tulane. Good vibes. I think, DJ, good game for him, carrying the offseason. Everything feels like it's back on track. Tulane without Mensa, right? He's not playing. He's already at Duke's basketball games on the court side. I don't know. I think Florida should roll.
Ohio has announced that they are removing the interim tag. They're keeping it in the family. They got nobody in the portal. Jacksonville State just lost Rich Rod. They got players in the portal. And that is Cure Bowl is a big vibes leaning towards the Bobcats for sure. So I think I like Ohio right there in that one. See, we still give them the bowl analysis. Bowls aren't dead yet. Yet. We will be back on Friday night at the conclusion of Indiana-Notre Dame here on youtube.com/cover3. And then again on Saturday night at the conclusion of Ohio State, Tennessee. There might be a robe appearance if we are lucky enough to get Tom in a robe. Robe recaps this college football playoff season. Let's go. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow him at Danny Kanell. Follow me at Chip _Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.